All right, what happened this last week up here in this Jacksonville metro area of Northeast Florida as far as the real estate market goes? I'm going to get to all that, but first, you know, we've been doing it. I've been doing this now for like 3 years. You see all the data, all the facts, figures, but it boils down to price. It's just about the price, and I've got a great example of that to show you here tonight. But before I get to that, this show right here, this is Bubble Watch, and this is week 51, okay, of my show in the 3rd season. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go into the back end of my MLS because I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a real estate agent up here in Northeast Florida, and I take you into the back end of my MLS every week and show you the real numbers in real estate. And this is what I'm going to look at. All right, I take a look at those active listings, and that is basically your inventory. We look at what went active, what is active right now under contract. We look at what went pending in the last 7 days. Going to look at those closed deals, which is your sold in the last 7 days. Take a look at new construction, see how many of those sold in the last 7 days, and also look at the new construction active inventory. All right, I take all this data and I export it, and it goes into an Excel spreadsheet which looks something like this. And it's a lot more data than what I just described there. I'm going into a lot more, and I'll explain it here just in a little bit. But what I do is I clean it up and put it into my own Excel spreadsheet, which looks something like this, which makes it easier to track week by week and year by year. And you're going to see that as we go through this. But while all those numbers are crunching out, let's see what those interest rates did this last week. Okay, here we go and look at the rates, and we're starting off here with the 30-year fixed. And all these charts, we always start off here at the bottom in this location. This is where we left off last week. Over here to the right, you see the arrows where the rates went up or down. And then at the top is where we finished off. So as we can see with this one here, we are at 6.92 last week, and we ended up at 6.83. Okay, the FHA rates are generally less, and we see here last week we were at 6.35 for the FHA 30-year, and we ended up at 6.20, so a good decline. Last, we take a look at those VA rates, which follow pretty close to the FHA. And here we see last week we were at 6.37. All those green arrows also a good direction, and we ended up at 6.22, so we were down from last week. Well, as you see here, the rates are still below 7, so that is a good thing. Okay, I know in the 6s is still too high for a lot of folks, but again, I'm going to show you tonight where it's not about the rates, it's about the price, which makes it all different. Now let's take a look at those Excel spreadsheets. And in this Excel spreadsheets, I'm going to go over all this data, but I also do something that a lot of people don't do. I show you the median sales price sold, and I also show you the median sales price sold per square foot on a weekly basis, so we can kind of track that trend. And so let's get to those Excel spreadsheets right now. Okay, here we are into my Excel spreadsheets, and I'm going to quickly go over what they are for the people that are new to the show. This column right here, this yellow column here, week 51, this is our current week, and this is all the data for this week. These other 2 yellow columns are the previous 2 weeks. Now, directly to the right of this column here, the white column, that is last year at this time. So we can compare last year's to this year's just at a glance. And then also it's easy to look at the last 2 weeks, you know, because of the yellow columns there. YOY, that is the year-over-year percentage of difference, okay, between those two. SFH, this blue column, is where I pull the single-family home data by itself out and just show you that. Now over here, this last column, it shows what the rows indicate. The first row being all the active listings. Next is sold, active under contract, pending, total under contract, and so on. So let's start off first with the top here of this week's, and it's our active listings, which is our current inventory, and that is 10,959. So it is an increase in inventory of 1 from last week, okay? So we see that the increases in inventory has slowed down. Sold, holy crap, 711. I'm stunned. Everyone's been telling me that this spring rush is going to be a bust. The crash is coming, the recession's coming, 2008 is coming back. But look at these numbers, 711, holy crap, okay? Of course, yeah, it is down from last year, but okay, I mean, you know, everyone's predicting that this, why are all these people buying if everything's going to crash this summer? Active under contract, 1,512, so that's down slightly from last week. Pending, okay, these are the ones that were active under contract that had contingencies. They passed their contingencies, and now they went into pending status. The next thing from pending is a clear to close, but not everything that goes pending closes. Total under contract, that's a total of pendings and active under contract, okay? 1,963, we see that is up. So does that mean we're going to have more closings next week? We'll see. Withdrawals, 93. These are homes that are active listings but cannot be shown. A lot of times people are sick. I know there was a lot of flu going around. I had it there for a couple of weeks. Sometimes people are doing remodeling to the house, fixing repairs, things like that, and they just don't want people tromping through the house. Expireds, 477. What a huge jump. And this is why our active listings didn't increase so much, because all these fell off the active list, okay? These aren't like withdrawals. These are no longer active listings for sale. And I'm telling you, I mean, there's a lot of sellers that aren't budging much on prices, and this could be, I mean, what's happening here? New homes sold, 220, another surprise. Look at that. I mean, it shot up, I mean, from the last couple weeks, and we're right there with last year at this time. New homes active, 2308, okay? So that number there is just slightly above last week and pretty close to the other 2 weeks. But this here is the biggie. Look at this, in the orange box. Almost 31%, almost 1/3. This orange box is the percentage of new homes, of homes sold that are new. Almost 1/3 of all homes sold were new construction homes. I'm telling you, I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I'll tell you this. You know, I don't know for a fact what's causing it, but I'll tell you this. These new builders, they are cutting some deals, reducing some prices. Of course, I know some of you out there think that they're only worth half the price of what they're asking, but that's just not the case. Reality is they're getting what they're getting. They're also offering these great financing deals and insurance. I'm telling you, you can get a new home, get it insured for about $1,000, $1,200. Of course, it depends on you and the carrier and your house. Okay, but I've known for fact some people that have had this with new homes. Where the used homes, I've seen them like $2,500, $35,000, $5,000. Okay, a difference. So I think it's a little bit of all this that's mixed in with these new home sales. Don't know, but we're seeing a big increase. Okay, the single family homes right there, you see those numbers for them, and you can look at that. You can just pause the video and take a glance to see where those numbers fall in this week. Okay, here I pull the condos out of all that data and show them by themselves. Basically the same chart. So here's the condos data, and again, you could pause this video if you'd like to look at that. How did people pay for these homes? All right, well, right here we see cash. 1/4 of them paid cash, conventional, you know, over 36%, FHA, almost 23%, VA, just over 12.5%, and others still up there, 2.67%. These numbers below show the units that, the amount of units sold for those different finance categories. Okay, so we see 181 sold as cash. Next, we take a look at these foreclosure numbers, and these are the foreclosures that are active listings. They aren't the total foreclosures for Northeast Florida. All right, so out of the active listings, we had 86 in foreclosure status, 16 in pre-foreclosure status, 55 in short sale status for a total of 157, so we did have a slight increase this week. Next, we look at the percentage of homes that sold under list, at list, and above list, and we see we're pretty much staying right there with what we've been for the last couple weeks here. So you can see just over 76% of the homes sold under list price. So that is the major majority, okay? Homes that sold at list, 15%, and homes that sold above list, just over 8.5%. And again, those numbers below are the actual units. So you can see 543 of the 711 homes sold under list price. Next, I look at the price categories, okay? Of homes that sold for $500,000 and above, that's $500,000. Homes that sold in the 400s, 300s, 200s, and homes that sold below 200. And we can see that homes that sold for 500 above, over, almost 27%. Homes that sold in the 400s, that seems to be a low spot, okay? Just under 12%. And then the homes in the 300s is another sweet spot. Almost 29%. Homes that sold in the 200s, 23%. And that's, every week I got to mention it because I got new people here, but that's probably a lot of townhomes and manufactured homes that fall into that 200 category. Homes that sold below 200, just about 9.5%. Those numbers below, again, are the actual units that sold in those categories, and you see the total 711. Next, I look at the new construction numbers, okay? And homes that sold under list for them, over 77.5% of those homes sold under list. At list was just over 14.5%, and homes that sold above list jumped this week to 7.73%. And again, you see those numbers below, which are the actual units that sold in those categories. Okay, here we go with the one thing that I do special this week that I don't know that anybody else does. I show you the median price of the sold price of single-family homes, townhomes, and condos for the week, and also the median price per square foot on a weekly basis. Okay, so we see here the single-family homes, $385, okay, for that median sales price, $211 a square foot. Townhomes, $290,000, $190 a square foot. Those condos were high this week. I mean, we must have had some really high-priced condos. At $340 was the median price, $239 for the square footage. Now, when we back up, we can take a look at a few of the previous weeks, so you can kind of see where they fell into place. And these are just like everything else we've been looking. Man, there is no consistency, okay, with none of this, okay? That's why I'm saying that anyone that's predicting anything, baloney, okay? No one can predict. Like I showed with the couple videos ago, the crystal ball is cracked, okay? Even the guys that get the crystal ball award can't even figure it out this year. Okay, here is where I take the data of, as we can see in the first column here, it's the type of home, single family, condominiums, manufactured, townhomes, whatever. Will show up there. The original list price, what they originally put it on the market for. The list price is what they lowered it to, and the closed price is what it actually sold for. The difference is right here in this column, and that shows how much below the original list price that home sold for. And then over here we got the days on the market. So I'm going to scroll down. We have got a lot here, okay? So you can pause it. Now, this Excel spreadsheet, if you don't want to pause this video, is available for download by a link that is in the video description. That's right. And it goes back to when I started this show back in 2022, when everyone told me that the market was crashing, okay? So you get the exact same spreadsheet here that I use in this show that you can download for yourself and look at it at your leisure. Or you could just pause this video and then just scroll and look, but you're not seeing the previous week's data. All right, if you like the way I put this show together with these Excel spreadsheets with all this data and I pull it out of the MLS, then just give me a thumbs up for liking this show. And if you want to be part of Bubble Watch Nation, then just subscribe, and then we'll catch these shows every week, because every Friday night at 6:30 these shows come out. All right, next thing I'm going to look at right now is what is called MLS Advantage. This Jacksonville metro area basically is 9 counties. Some people say 7, I say it's more like 9. And it's these counties here you see on this map. Now, what happens is there's all these other MLS boards. Everything I've been showing you is out of my MLS, which is Northeast Florida MLS, which is the largest MLS up here. But there are some smaller boards in some of the counties, like in St. John's, Flagler, and so forth. Now, what I do is I show all the sold data from those counties and combine it, okay, for all 9 counties, and put that in a chart for you. Not only that, but I break it down by county, how many sold, so you can see which counties has the most activity or lack of activity in the last week. So right now, let's go to MLS Advantage. All right, here we are into the back end of my Northeast Florida MLS account, into the MLS Advantage portion. And right here is where we have those counties, those 9 counties: Baker, Union, Bradford, Clay, Nassau, Duval, St. John's, Flagler, and Putnam. Over here, I hit the search button, and that brings up 948 properties. Okay, now I take that total there of 948 and break it down by counties to see where all these sales were. As we look, Baker had a drop this week and they were at 3. Union stayed the same at 1. Bradford had a big jump to 9. Clay County at 95. Nassau County at 91. Duval had a pretty good showing at 336 units sold. St. John's was 233. Flagler 149, a big jump there. Putnam County actually dropped a little bit, but our total 948. This is huge. Look at it compared to the others. I mean, now we did see 941 back there in week 47. So again, nothing's consistent. We've got these ups and downs. So is this our spring rush? We're going to see if it continues in the next week. You know, I am a licensed realtor here in the state of Florida, and I work with a select group of agents here that in Northeast Florida to help people buy and sell homes. And if you'd like to work with us, then just contact us at this number that you see below, and we'll be in touch with you. And if you're looking to list your house, just put us in the mix and we'll show you what we do. All right, now what we're going to do is get to what I was talking about price. I got a perfect example. Now, I pulled this house just randomly off of Zillow. Okay, so it's public information out there. What the hell? I was looking for something around $350,000 to give my example. Now, I've never seen this house. I don't know anything about it. So I'm not saying anything bad about the house. I mean, you know, I mean, it looks like a nice house and all this and that. I just pulled it because of the price point, okay, and what it was and how much it appreciated in the last few years, just to show my point. It's all public and everything. Like I says, I'm not saying anything bad about this house. In fact, it looked like a good enough house that I would show to somebody. And so that's what we're using for the example here tonight. So let's take a look here and look at this example. All right, here is that Zillow site of that one house, and we can see right here it is a single-story house for $349,900. So basically $350, where I was looking for. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1420 square feet. Okay, it is in Jacksonville. This house here was built in 1977. Okay, and it's on a pretty good-sized lot, so it looks like it's about a quarter-acre lot, maybe a little larger. All right, the Zestimate on this is $346,400, but those estimates, you know, I really, you know, sometimes they can be okay, but it seems like they kind of go along with what people are listing the house for, that they just drop it a little bit under. And I'm going to show you, like in the chart, the fluctuations, it's a little unusual. So I'm not going to really go through all the pictures because basically I just wanted to show a house for that and just give you an example. Now, the one thing that Zillow does is that they do show the previous prices and sales and stuff like that. And as you can see down here, listed for rent, it looks like this house was for rent. So let's scroll down a little bit more. And we can see it was purchased back in 2017 for $157,200, and obviously they used it as a rental, okay? Because you see these other listings for rent and listings removed, listed for rent, listings removed. When a listing is removed, that meant they rented it out generally, okay? Now we see that they put it back on the market at $367,900, and then they've reduced the price here to $349,900, okay, for this house. So as you can see, here you've got your typical, I mean, and it looks like it has a 1-car garage there. And I mean, it could be two, looking at the angle, it's hard to tell. But it's your typical, usually, you know, beginner home, 1,400 square feet, okay, is like a first home for somebody starting out. 3-bedroom, 2-bath for a family, but $350,000 instead of $250,000. That's what makes it a little bit harder for people. Although those numbers we saw in the Excel spreadsheets show everyone's buying like there's a frenzy going on right now. So I don't know. This one's hard to tell. All right, so let's look at these rates and payments. Okay, I want to make my point, okay, here, and stay with me. All right, $350,000 if it's sold for that, or any house. I just showed this one house as an example, but any house that's at 350, 30 years, okay, 6.5% right now. Your principal and interest only, and that is $2212. Now, I understand there could be down payments involved. Some people don't. Some are only 3%. A lot are 3% FHA. Okay, so it's not a lot. But say you're financing. This is just for argument's sake that you're financing this amount. Okay, $2212. Now, if that house was $250,000, okay, at 6.5%, look at the difference. $1,580. Big difference. Big difference. Now, what if we have that $350,000 house at 3.5% interest rate? Okay, we're at $1,571. Okay, you're saying, okay, this is pretty close to that $1,580 at $250,000. So you're saying the interest rates matter. Okay, yeah, they do. But let me show you something else that you have to figure into this. Okay, let's bring the calculator in for this. This is where the taxes and insurance. All right, now, this particular house here, the millage rate was 17.8, okay? So, if they go by, okay, the $350,000, we were to sell for that, $350,000, whoops, didn't mean to do that. I'm gonna go times 350. Your taxes, you're looking at $6240, okay? And that's because of the increase in the price of the house. Now, if the house was $250,000, and we go by that millage of 17.8, $4,400. That's a big difference, okay, in the price of, you know, in the price of the taxes, in what the taxes are going to run you per year. But we're in the 350 right now, so you know we were at about 6,000 for that. So say you were at 6,000 for your taxes, okay, your insurance, add that. I've seen a used home like this, I mean, easily could be $2,500 or more, okay, for the year. Now you're at $8,500 a year. Divide that by 12, okay, monthly $700 a month, okay. So this is the problem too right now with this increase in these homes. The insurance goes up, the taxes go up. Even if you had a good mortgage rate or a good price on the house, add $700 to that $15. Now you're at over $2,200. And you know, it's like I said, the people that had the jobs where I just showed, where the last video where I showed $40 an hour job making $83,000 a year, you're be able to afford around the $250 range. Well, in that amount of time that this was $250, wages haven't gone up that much. This is the problem. People's incomes haven't gone up. Not only that, add to it inflation that we've had for the last few years, and that reduced the amount of dollars people had to spend, save for the housing, because they're having to buy groceries, gas, and other things, auto repairs, and all that, just regular life. So all that added up. Now, taxes and insurance, that's still a problem. Although in Florida, they're trying to do some tax relief, and we'll see how this comes about. The insurance is still another problem. But if the price of the house is too much there, it doesn't matter what the interest rate is. That's why there's just so much focus on these interest rates. In fact, here we are under what is called Real Estimate, and this is on Realtor.com, where they use 3 different type of algorithms to get you the idea of what that house is. One of them here is kind of missing something, but you know, as we look here over here in this side, okay, they'll tell you the month and the year and the price. So we see right now we're there at about like $350 to $375. Okay, so let's say we're at the $350 mark. Okay. Now, let's go back here. Okay, when was it at around $250? Right here, it was in May of 2021. So just in that short amount of time, okay, in 4 years, we've gone from $250 to $350. Okay, but say that person was making $40 an hour in 2021. They're not making more Now, in this short period of time, in this 4 years, I guarantee you not making up the same equivalent of difference of what's gone on with the price of the house. All right, now, as we've seen here, this is week 51 of season 3, and it is in the can. And until next week, I'm out of here.